you wanted the best, you've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com. Ladies and gentlemen, there, latest things that makes it official. Welcome to the big show. As always, we appreciate having you guys. You know, we love our audience. For 16 to 17 years, you guys have been listening to our shows, listening to me rant, rave, and interview some of the most amazing people on the planet and minds. And, you know, just all we're asking, just please, for the love of God, share the show with your family, friends, and relatives. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, Facebook.com/Chris Voss, YouTube.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, and tell them you sent them, or I sent you, or I sent you to send them, or they sent themselves. One of the two, one of the four. I don't know. Yeah, I'm just making shit up at this point, folks.
Opinions expressed by guests on the podcast are solely their own and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the host or the Chris Voss Show. Some guests of the show may be advertising on the podcast, but it is not an endorsement or review of any kind.
Today's featured author comes to us from bookstolifemarketing.co.uk. With expert publishing to strategic marketing, they help authors reach their audience and maximize their book's success. Anyway, we have an amazing young lady on the show today. We're talking about her book called Close Friends Cathedral Adventure, out December 6, 2024. Ann Ward Crocker joins us on the show, and we're going to be talking about her book, her insights. At 95, she is still writing books, doing interviews, and knocking it out of the park when it comes to sharing her adventures of life and trying to make the world a better place. And what an important thing to do. She's written a much longer version of the book and stuff like that, so we'll get into some of those details. Welcome to the show. How are you, Ann?
Fine, thank you.
Fine. It's wonderful to have you, Ann. Give us your .coms or any websites, social media, wherever you want people to follow you on the interwebs.
I don't do social media. I'm still in the old age. I mean, I think I have a website that somebody set up for me. It's AnnWardCrocker.com. But no, I don't even do Facebook. I do email. Yeah. But no, I still write letters in cursive, which I turn. So. Oh, yes.
There you go. Well, don't you have a Snapchat for those other 95-year-old guys to tune into?
Snapchat.
Snapchat.
Yeah, what's your? Snap. What's that?
It's one of those social media things. It's just a
no.
All right.
No.
All right. Well, so tell us about this book. Give us a 30,000 overview, if you would.
Well, first of all, it's my it's my second book. My first book was 40 years ago in a cookbook. So this one is a one and only because I'm not a writer. I do other things, but the story came about in 1979. The Altar Guild of our church was invited to do a flower arrangement at the National Cathedral for the annual flower festival, and they were offered to give us lessons. So we took them up on it and decided, because they assigned us the staircase that goes down to the crypt or the lower level of the cathedral, that we would do and it had a statue of Abraham Lincoln at the top, that we would do a wildflower garden. And while we were carrying plants in to do this, I realized there was a toad on my Christmas fern. And normally I would not pick up a toad, but I could not take him into the cathedral. So I put the plant down and put the toad in a nearby garden and went on with the festival. Well, the little toad haunted me because I had to get him from where I left him at the cathedral to the other side of the cathedral where there was a woods and a much better environment for him. So that's the long answer to your short question.
Yeah. And so you wrote this book. Now, is this your first book, or do you have many others?
Well, the cookbook, I wrote a recipe column for the local paper in the 1970s and used other people's recipes. And I started with the ministers' wives of all the churches. And they were such interesting people in themselves that I decided I would write short biographies of these women. And after I had collected, I think I had over 800 recipes. I got sort of tired of it. I was busy doing other things. And just the editor of the paper convinced me to do a cookbook. So having done cookbooks before, when I worked for the Washington Gas Light Company, it was a labor of love. And we sold all the copies.
Wow. You're a prolific author.
Well, you could hardly call that. But anyway, it was fun.
Well, I mean, it is writing. You have to write the narrative. So this book is about, I believe, the National Cathedral. Is that correct?
Yes. Well, I had to get him. Well, obviously, it's fiction, except for the toad was a real toad. But I had to give him friends. I had to give him friends, and I had to get him to a proper environment because where we had gotten these plants was in an area of Herndon, Virginia, where we live, that was scheduled to be a subdivision, and they were uprooting plants and trees, so we didn't have any guilt feelings about digging up all kinds of ferns and wildflowers from this area. And obviously, the toad hitched a ride, but then so did an earthworm, and so did the plants, so they were all his friends.
So was this the first Cathedral Flower Festival you and your altar guild participated in?
Oh, no. It was the third or fourth of five. We did it five times. But we did different things each time.
Yeah.
Although this one was so successful that we did it twice, or they asked us to do it twice.
Now, for those who don't know anything about the National Cathedral, can you help people know what that is and where it's located?
Well, of course, it's located in Washington, D.C., and most people are familiar with it, I think, Chris, because that's where all the national funerals are. And we just buried Jane Goodall from there within the last month. Another person, my memory is slowing down, it's thinning out. So anyway, but I think it's the second largest Gothic cathedral. No, don't quote me on that. It's a Gothic cathedral, and it was just finished being built in the late 90s. So go ahead.
And you started as a student, I believe, at the University of Maryland in 1948 and watched it get constructed, I guess. Is that correct?
That's right. When in 1948, I was in college at the University of Maryland, and we would take field trips into the cathedral to hear different ministers. But the cathedral was hardly what it was. In those days, there was only the altar and the apse, which is the area of a cathedral where the choir is. That was, and one of the transepts, which is one of the cross parts of the cross-shaped cathedral. That's all that was built. The rest of it was open air and temporary wooden structures. And all those stones were out in the yard, piled up as the stones that went into constructing it. So anyway, I watched it being built my entire life.
Wow. That's got to be a lot of fun, right?
Well, interesting. It wasn't really fun, but it was a very interesting exercise. And I made since I was fortunate enough to live near there for a few years, I was able to visit and attend services there. In the beginning, am I giving you too long an answer?
No, this is what we're looking for. Hear from you.
I was going to say in the beginning, in the 50s, when I was living in Washington, and working for the Washington Gas Light Company, I attended a Christmas Eve midnight service there, which is where the cathedral was lit by candlelight. They had, many, many candelabra stationed throughout the cathedral. And it was only then, I guess the other transept had been built by that time. But anyway, the wind was so strong that it blew wax from those candles all over people in the congregation. And I had a terrible time getting that wax out of my coat because, of course, you had to wear your heavy coats because there was no heat. But it was still beautiful, and the choir was beautiful, and it was well worth the wax.
Well worth the wax. The wax burns there. You gotta love it.
Yeah.
You gotta love it.
Yeah.
Now this is a story. Who is this angled toward? Is this angled toward children and parents who want to read for their children?
Well, I didn't. I just wrote it because it was a story that I thought was unusual, and I just wanted to tell. Mm-hmm. But people that have talked to me about it think it's a good thing for adults to read to children and discuss with them, because I do include the various parts of a Gothic cathedral, which have their own vocabulary. So there's I see my memories for the thing in the back, glossary in the back of the terms. So, but the cathedral itself is a marvelous place to, and an essential place to visit, I would say, in Washington. You do all the museums, but the a Gothic cathedral is unto itself in beauty.
Yeah, you gotta love it. You gotta love it. Now, with the book, it's a story about Peat, a toad, and Paul-Paulette, an earthworm who live in the woods and the roots of their friend Christy, a Christmas fern. And then one day they're all dug up, put in the pots, and taken away. That sounds like what you guys were up to. And tell us kind of a little bit more about this story and these characters and what you were hoping to convey to the reader.
Well, I wanted to convey the interconnection of everything in nature, how the mankind is connected and to animals and plants. We could not live without plants. But also I became fascinated in earthworms because I had not, I knew they were essential to gardening and I knew they were good things, but I didn't know anything about them before I started doing this story. And Paul-Paulette, it has a double name because earthworms are both male and female. You still need two to tango, but each worm does both jobs. So, and Charles Darwin wrote a whole book about earthworms. He even, no, don't get me started on earthworms.
It sounds like you've studied them a lot.
Well, this is a Christmas show. We won't go into the story, but there's several the books on earthworms, and the one that I really like is let's see, what's her name here? Amy Stewart's book called "The Earth Moved," and it's interesting and I like. But she continues what Charles Darwin started on the importance of earthworms, not just to mix up the soil, but in other capacities too. So it's an easy and a good read about earthworms if you are inclined to be curious about earthworms.
Yeah. And so you think it makes for a great story for young people. And of course they love characters and they love cute characters and they love animals too. You know, they're in children's youth, they're trying to understand their world. Now you engage in talking about death in the book too. Sometimes that's a topic that kids have a hard time understanding, or some people broach away from that subject because it's kind of hard to understand when you're a kid. But you cover it in your book, and why did you do that?
Well, I think it's important for people to even just at least discuss it, and it's nowadays it's being more stuff than it used to be, but no, we lost two children to as early in our marriage, so I had to face death and learn about it, and I learned how to cope with the death of two children, and I often wonder how
passion for what we do from a sustainability perspective.
Hang on one second. I think we're having some audio bleed. Let me see if I can fix this here real quick.
In the end of summer, when a lot of our flowers are dying back, and
okay, there we go. Sorry about that. We'll get that fixed in post.
Okay.
You were saying you had two children that passed away.
Yes, one at birth was stillborn, and the other died of cancer at age 3. So she had cancer of the eye, and she had an artificial eye. That was an interesting episode. Anyway, you test your faith for one thing, and you learn a lot about life as another. But I often wonder how animals and insects cope with death when they expect to be eaten or stomped on at any time in their life. So they live in fear of, or maybe they don't. Anyway, I don't worry about it, I'll tell you, but I do think about it from time to time.
Yeah. Well, these are important subjects, though, right? And sometimes presenting them in a way in setting or format that children can understand or identify with, they can maybe help these things too. Yeah. So you've written this book. You've written a few different other things we talked about on the show. Do you still cook and make recipes and stuff like that?
Oh, yes, indeed. I do still cook because I enjoy cooking and experimenting with things I haven't cooked before. And even yesterday, I had we had our 4th floor. I live in an institution, old folks home. Well, it's hardly an old folks home because we do a lot of great. Anyway, we had our 4th floor party yesterday, and I usually bake a cake, but I wanted something simpler. So I decided to make chocolate-covered strawberries and a little bit healthier. And how hard could that be? There's only 3 ingredients. So anyway, I learned they didn't turn out exactly. They looked beautiful and they tasted good, but the chocolate was not exactly right. But anyway, all of them disappeared. So apparently they were well received.
Well, I'm going
to perfect the recipe next. It called for coconut oil. I never had used that before, and didn't even know it existed, and had lost the recipe by the time I got the recipe. So I didn't know how much to use. So now I know how much to use, and I'll do them again next year.
Wow, you're still cooking it up and making the homemade sweets there and good stuff.
No, well, I don't make too many sweets. I must
really?
Make soup.
You make soup? Okay.
Yeah, we have the portion of the food here is excellent, and I should put in a plug for the Shenandoah Valley Westminster Canterbury Senior Complex. It's a very friendly and welcoming place with good food, and but the serving sizes are too big, so I'd always take half home, and they very often get mixed into a soup of some sort. They have good soups here, so anyway, that's my cooking.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, let's see. Now, do you still take classes on many things that you work on?
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm. That's a lifelong learning thing, and we have them here. And the last one was a couple weeks ago for the season, and it was on the ancient art of the Neanderthals and the prehistoric humans in France and Spain, and it was fascinating, because they have because of modern technology, they have been able to trace mankind back much further than they used to.
So is that one of the keys to keep on getting to 95 and keep the brain sharp? Is keep learning, taking classes?
Well,
and
I don't know whether that's the key or not, but it certainly has served me well because I've taken classes all my life in various subjects from flower arranging, parapsychology, accounting, history, you name it, art, history. I avoid politics. I do not like politics, so I tend to. I do vote though, and I keep up.
Yeah.
One of my great aunts was a militant suffragette in England, so we learned about politics at an early age. Yeah,
that's kind of interesting. Learn about them politics.
Sorry.
Learn about them politics, as they say.
Okay,
so, yeah, you gotta love it. All right, so let's see here. What else do we have we want to do? Is there any future books coming up maybe that you're working on?
No, I belong to a group here called Prose and Poetry, and they have several authors belong to it, and they're much better than I. I've written a couple of short stories for it and one poem. So that I don't do that much writing, although I do keep journals and I write haiku. Now haiku has served me well throughout my life because I have almost 900 of them now.
Oh, really?
They're snippets to memories of extraordinary things in nature. So they're handwritten I'm on my 5th little book now, but I have them in a database and I can sort them by subject matter if I ever get around to it. But it's not high on my list at this point.
Now you like watching birds, evidently. You're a bird watcher. Is that true?
Well, now that's my number one love of life at this point. And even at 95, they were very nice here to take me out when they do the annual Audubon Christmas census, which is coming up this weekend. And we're assigned a section, and because we did it, I was with a couple that did it last year. We know where to go and know where we're apt to see the most birds. But I don't walk in the fields anymore because I have to walk with a rollator. So but you can do a lot from a car and a good pair of binoculars. So.
What do you think is the key to living long and well? You say you try to keep a positive attitude, I believe.
Well, that's it right there. Is keeping a positive attitude and try and find something good in people you don't like. So that's been a challenge, and
I know that challenge.
Don't laugh. That's a good thing to do.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Okay. So anyway, and then you have to take things as they come. You just cannot sweat the small stuff. So
is that one of your sayings? Don't sweat the small stuff.
Yeah, and everything is small stuff in the theme of delight.
Don't sweat the small stuff, and remember, it's all small stuff. And positive attitude. There was the quote here that's on the PR page: "How one endures what must be endured is more important than that which must be endured." Is that one of your?
Well, yes, and I picked that saying up when I was in the hospital. I went through menopause on a Tuesday because I had a hysterectomy. So I was in the hospital.
Busy on Monday?
So while I was in the hospital, I was reading Margaret Truman's book, History of her father, Harry Truman, and that's what he lived by. And I admire Harry Truman. He was a common man, but he was, I think, a pretty good president, having stepped in after FDR and World War II and so forth. That dates me, but it's when the things are tough, the tough get going. So the same thing.
When the times get tough, the tough get going. I think someone made a song about that. It was pretty good. Well, as we go out, give people a final pitch out to order up your book and find out more on your website.
Okay, yeah. Was that a question?
Yes, if you would, please.
Say more about the book?
Just give us a final pitch out for people to order up the book wherever fine books are sold.
I'm not familiar with the word pitch out, but I figured you want how to get it. It's available on Amazon and Barnes and Noble, and you probably can get used copies by now. But it's in paperback and hard copy, and it's also in ebook and audio? I don't know, but do you have a minute more?
Yes, we do. Sure.
You got to go, because how this book got published is a story in itself. I didn't want it published, but I had worked 40 years on this story because I wanted to, when I was 88, I figured I ought to wrap up the projects in my life, and I went to the internet and just picked out a publisher. I knew how hard it was to get a book published, but you had to have an agent and all this. But I didn't want that. I wanted a nice rejection letter. And instead I got, "We are pleased to inform you that." And I didn't know Austin Macaulay I didn't know it, I'd never heard of them. But anyway, it turns out they're an international company. And they're in England. This book's been selling in England and France and Germany, and people in Italy saw it and took it to Seoul, Korea. So it's been around the world. I have no idea how well it's selling, but anyway, it's an international for a tiny little insignificant book. It's been a lot of fun.
Wow. Well, yeah, I mean, sharing and uplifting the world, getting people to enjoy what you've written and the experiences be great. It might be good if you did a bird watching book, maybe teach kids how to bird watch and the importance of...
Well, you should say that because my great-granddaughter has let me know that she's taken up birding and she would like to learn how to bird. So that's they're going to be her Christmas present. But she lives in the country, and when she was little, when she was only, I think, 5 or 6, she identified a bald eagle. So I figured, she's on her way. She's now 14. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to helping her do that. So,
that is awesome. That is awesome. What a wonderful thing. Well, it's been wonderful to have you on the show, Anne. Thank you very much for coming on.
Well, thank you. And I'm sorry about the mix-up in the beginning, but
no problem. Yeah, we figured you would eventually show up, and so we got you. Now, give us your .com one last time so people can look you up on the interwebs.
Oh, AnneWardCrocker.com.
All right, well, thank you very much, Anne. Thanks, John. It's for tuning in. Order up Anne's book wherever fine books are sold and bring back reading to children. Parents, it's a great way to raise smart kids. Order up the book. It's called Close Friends Cathedral Adventure, out December 6, 2024 by Anne Ward Crocker. Thanks so much for tuning in. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, linkedin.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss 1 on the TikTok, and all those crazy places on the internet. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you guys next.
You've been listening to the most amazing, intelligent podcast ever made to improve your brain and your life. Warning, consuming too much of the Chris Voss Show podcast can lead to people thinking you're smarter, younger, and irresistible sexy. Consume in regularly moderated amounts. Consult a doctor for any resulting brain bleed.
All right, Ed.